5 things I'd never do again if I could go back in time. Number 1, leave out the audio of my kids' voices. This is by far one of the biggest regrets that I have, because when I first started, I focused on just dropping in music, and I was too scared of audio to really spend the time even just adding it in. And in hindsight, I didn't have to be so obsessive of how good the audio was. I just needed to include it. And so if I could go back and do anything again, that would be the number 1, just to not leave out my kids' voices. The second thing I would do differently would be not to obsess over things like frame rate and shutter speed. I definitely obsessed over those things, and I'm sure you probably do too, but it's one of those things that can hold you back. And so it can be really liberating to think differently about frame rate and shutter speed. These days, I just leave it as 1 frame rate. I just keep it high, and then I slow it down if I want to, and I don't if I don't, and the world keeps turning. It's fine. And then with shutter speed, I used to really worry about having a high shutter speed, but I just don't care anymore because it is what it is. It's not that noticeable, and I do my best to mitigate it where possible. The most important thing there is that I know why a high shutter speed is a problem, and I know how to mitigate that and avoid scenarios where it's going to be a big problem. But overall, I don't stress about it during a shoot. Third thing that I would not do again if I had my time over would be to stress about things like, I don't know, everything being perfect. Everything being perfect. I would not stress about that. I think now, looking back, I was definitely trying to be a perfectionist throughout, and it would oftentimes hold me back. So not stressing about things, everything being perfect. I would not get the camera out sometimes because I was like, oh, I don't like what they're wearing, or I might ask them to change. And in hindsight, I wish I never did that. Like I was stressed about things that just didn't matter, and I should have just picked the camera up and shot it regardless. My biggest regret is I used to shoot all the time and then slowing down, like shooting less and less as they got older. And yeah, that's one of the things. Okay, 4th thing would be shooting log. There are so many people out there saying that you must shoot log if you want to be taken seriously as a professional videographer, and I am calling bullshit, because you do not have to shoot log. And if anything, all you're doing is adding more time in post-production. If you are coming to video brand new and you don't have experience as a photographer with exposure to begin with, then maybe shooting log is going to be helpful for you, because maybe you're going to need that extra bit of wiggle room later. But if you're a photographer and you know how to get it right on camera, why the fuck are you shooting log? Like, you don't have to shoot log. It's not necessary. Everyone just thinks it's this wonderful, great thing. And if you're a professional colorist, absolutely, it's great. But if you're out there making family films, nobody's got time to spend hours and hours color grading their footage. So no, don't worry about shooting log. That's definitely one thing. And I really anyway, I did it because everyone was like, oh, you gotta shoot log. No, I've done it. I've gone back. I don't shoot log anymore. 5th thing, listening to people that said family films are too expensive. And I get it, because for a lot of people, they are too expensive. But I think for me, listening to people saying that no one would ever buy them, or it would be hard to get clients, or it would be hard to build that as a full-time business, it's another thing that I call bullshit on, because actually it can be a really profitable and amazing business, and people will book them. But at the moment, it's just teaching people about what it is and why it's so valuable and why it's so important. And to be honest, I really think video is the next step for family photography. It is the way the industry is headed. And so you can either jump on the bandwagon or you can just not. And I think over time, you're either going to need to find someone who can shoot video for you in your business, or do it yourself. And yeah, so to me, I think when I first started doing it and it was less common, less popular, not that it's super common now, because it's still not, but it's gaining traction. I think I wouldn't have listened to the people and let that get in my head. I definitely didn't let it stop me, but it did influence how I felt about what I was doing. And that's, I think, something I could have avoided. Yeah, but truthfully, I really believe with everything in my core, having been in the industry for 10 years now, family photography has seen its peak. Family films are going to be the next big thing. Yeah, that's my 5 things that I would not do again. If you would like to avoid some of the same mistakes that I made, I would love for you to join me at FilmingLife. Enrollment is open now. Click on the link in bio to sign up.